Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Vim, for the opportunity. As you're aware, Kenya is pretty much at the forefront of mobile payments. Kenyans are famous for a number of things, and I'm not sure how many of you know about Equity Bank. Just quick show of hands, who knows about Equity Bank? So very few of you know about Equity Bank, so I'll just give you a very brief introduction. We are now the biggest bank by customer numbers in East and Central Africa. We have 8 million customers. This has happened over a space of 15 years, where we've gone from a bankrupt building society to the biggest bank in East and Central Africa. This has been driven very much by giving customers accessibility to banking through rolling out branches and through using the mobile channel. So we like to see ourselves as a very innovative player. As you can see from the bottom, our vision is to be the champion of socio-economic prosperity of the people of Africa. So we have a vision for the whole of Africa. We believe we can bank 50% of Africa. So we are targeting to bank 500 million people. We only had 8 million, but we are on our way. And part of our process is working with OpenWay, and we will give you a little bit of details on what we're doing there. So not only is Kenya famous for Equity Bank, we're also famous for long distance runners. Unfortunately, some of our runners didn't quite do it at the Olympics, but we did come second. We're also famous for the wildebeest migration. And I hope a lot of you will come to see the wildebeest migration. It's a spectacular event. But we're also famous for mobile money. I mean, who in this audience has heard of M-Pesa? I'm sure if I ask that question, the whole audience has heard of M-Pesa. There are other mobile money implementations. There's Orange Money, there's Airtel Money. We've done a partnership with Safaricom called Cashincashout. But the truth of the matter is, M-Pesa is the only successful mobile money implementation worldwide. The GSMA did some survey in June 2011. And in June 2011, there were 24.6 million person-to-person transactions worldwide. 21.6 million were done by M-Pesa. So that means the other 119 implementations of mobile money around the world did 3 million transactions. So the truth of the matter is mobile money is not working. But whenever we open any paper, you've seen it in The Economist, M-Pesa is mentioned. It was in the Times. So it's getting a lot of publicity, but the truth of the matter is mobile money as a standalone is battling to get traction. But we have to remember very carefully that, and look very carefully at the telcos and their entry into the space. Vim mentioned that 10 years ago you wouldn't have thought about telcos being involved in this space. I'd just like to show you a very short video which highlights possibly the impact of telcos on our space. Now, what is the significance of that? I think we have to look at telcos and look at the MNOs as banks and players in the financial space. And we need to decide, are they partners or competitors? Are they a log or a crocodile? Certainly in East Africa, we can tell you, but you know, I'll leave it up to you to decide. It all depends on regulation. In Kenya, the regulator has been very flexible and has allowed the telcos to move into the space. But it depends on what the regulators are doing. So these are two articles that came out of the. I did a search on the 6th of September on the internet. Two articles. the regulator in India was saying no mobile wallets. The European Union, the European Commission, was saying mobile wallets. So we're not talking here about this as being a developing country or developed country thing. Certain regulators are saying, yes, we will allow this to happen, and other regulators are saying, no ways. But we know, we've seen what happens when a telco can do this stuff and does it aggressively. So I think we just have to be very careful. This is all about regulation. But I think we need to take a step back and look at the history of payments. Now, very briefly, would anybody guess who this company is? It was founded in 1970. Between 1970 and 1996, it grew at something like 10,000%. It continues to expand at roughly 20%. It operates in 200 countries, 2 billion customers. Its annual sales passed 1 trillion in 1997 and 4.4 trillion in 2006. Does anybody know who that company is? It's Visa. So you're very close. It's Visa. But who knows who started Visa? It was started by a man called Mr. D. Hock. And I would strongly recommend that anybody who's interested in the payment space and where this whole thing is going should read his book. Because the similarities between how the card associations developed back 50 years ago and what is happening in this payment space right now is very, very crucial. And he has a lot of insights. I'm in email contact with Mr. Hock, and he recently wrote in an email to me. And I think it's very insightful. Basically, he says, as you probably know, I've argued for decades that one must carefully distinguish between function, form, and means. The function is and has always been and will remain the exchange of value. That hasn't changed. The form for more than a century has been and will remain guaranteed alphanumeric data expressed in the country of one or another country or another. The means has slowly been evolving slowly, but with ever-increasing speed, from coin to notes and bills to checks to plastic and now to mobile electronic devices. Each alteration means results in radical change in the nature and entities that guarantee, manipulate, and transport alphanumeric value data in the form of arranged electrons and photons. There is no doubt in my mind that mobile telephone is rapidly becoming the next major alterations in means, opening up vast new opportunities even greater than those that emerged half a century ago with the advent of electronic encoded cards. So I think it's worth listening to a man with such knowledge. But we need to step back and put it into perspective. We are all aware now payments is going mobile. You only have to walk around outside and you will see that. But we need to put M-Pesa into perspective. This is data from the Central Bank of Kenya, and it's a year old. But a year ago, M-Pesa was doing more transactions than the whole banking sector in Kenya. And there are 42 banks. So in the space of 4 years, M-Pesa is doing more transactions than all the banks put together. Now that is scary. M-Pesa does more transactions than Western Union worldwide. So this is big. M-Pesa is big, and it is seriously threatening the very existence of the banks and their participation in the payment space. So what are we as a bank doing? Equity looked at rolling out a solution in 2003 based on mobile banking. We were going to roll out with Fundamo, who most of you would have heard now because Visa had bought it. We didn't have enough money to do ATM, so we were going to do cash in and cash out through our customers using the USSD channel. The central bank would not allow us to do it. But 4 years later, they allowed M-Pesa to roll out a similar service. And it has grown from then to now, where they have 17 million customers, which is almost 3 times bigger than all the banks put together. So we as a bank are rolling aggressively into the mobile space. And as you can see, that is our growth in mobile. So we've gone from up to close to over 2 million mobile subscribers. We're also rolling out agents. Now, who would have said a few years ago that a bank would be doing business through a place like that? That is a cash in and cash out point in Kenya, where we're using the mobile device and we're doing cash in and cash out. we've now got over, this was in August, we already have over 6,000 agents doing cash in and cash out. When you consider we only have 500 ATMs, you can imagine what that's done to our number of transactions. This is just the growth in our total number of transactions. That bottom red line is the growth in the number of transactions we're doing through our banking agents. You can see our ATM transactions are basically flat. If you follow those projections, our number of agency transactions should overtake the number of branch transactions and the number of ATM transactions within the next few months. So this is big, and it's certainly changing the scope. So what are we also doing? Obviously, we're working very closely with Way4 and OpenWay. You need a very innovative platform if you are going to compete in this space. And we've found OpenWay to be that platform for us. We're busy rolling out a new Way4 mobile, which is their multi-channels, because you have to be able to do banking through all the channels. And OpenWay and Way4 allows us to do that. We're not just talking about merchants where you roll out a point of sale. You're also talking about cash merchants. That picture I showed you, they are merchants. They need to be managed on the same basis as you manage your other merchants. So it is crucial that your switch can handle multi-channels, and that's what OpenWay and Way4 can do for us. We also know that the mobile is becoming incredibly important. It's not just about accessing through WAP and the internet. In developing countries, you have to be able to access your banking via USSD and SMS. And OpenWay is allowing us to do that. So really that's what I would like to leave with you from a bank that's experienced this. We've learned the hard way. We've learned that these competitors can grow very quickly from being nothing to being huge in a very small space of time. And if you don't look out for it and if you don't react, you can very soon find that you've been disintermediated out of the very business you thought you were good at. And that's doing a fully authenticated transaction. So that's what I'd like to leave you with. Follow the space closely and react and do things, otherwise it could overtake you. And from that point of view, we have found OpenWay and their Way4 switch a very strong and flexible and innovative partner. Thank you.